Batman has always made the shadows his ally, but in Batman Arkham Origins, he finds the shadow of his own previous games impossible to escape from. It's as good as Batman Arkham City in most ways, having inherited an outstanding combat system. But it isn't better. It lacks interesting ideas of its own, and it's missing the polish and attention to detail that makes Arkham City and Arkham Asylum great action games. The name Arkham Origins is a flagrant misnomer. This story is neither about Arkham, nor is it an origin story, even though it's a prequel. It is, however, a respectably well-written Batman story that covers some familiar themes, such as his self-destructive insistence on working alone and how far he'll go to avoid taking a life. It even manages to concoct a plausible reason for Batman to face so many villains all in one night. But it's the kind of prequel that screams, "What were we thinking when we killed off that incredibly popular character? Undo! Undo!" The actors standing in for longtime Batman and Joker voices, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, do a pretty good job.
We both exist because of them! Give up!
Troy Baker's Joker in particular is close enough that I might not even have noticed immediately if I weren't listening for it. I do have to gripe that Gotham City feels empty and lifeless. It's supposed to be a city full of people that Batman has devoted himself to protecting, but they're not here. Also missing are the frequent Easter eggs and references that you can find scattered around Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and with them goes some of the charm that made exploring worthwhile. Also, I noticed significant frame rate slowdowns at times when gliding around the city on both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
They call me Bird! Bane's lieutenant. Putting you away should set him back.
This younger Batman already has all of his signature moves and gear. So, at the cost of really selling the idea that these events happen earlier, Origins keeps the foundation of the Arkham game's amazing free-flowing combat and stealth intact. It's almost as good here as it is in Arkham City. I say almost because what few tweaks Origins does make aren't exactly great ideas. When you unlock the new shot gauntlets, you can pretty much ignore all of the immunities that make fighting different enemy types interesting, and just punch everybody. Likewise, the remote grapple gives you 2 or 3 free stealth knockouts. That just makes things easier, not better. The open world map is expanded from Arkham City, connecting the reused parts to a new island with a long bridge that you'll have to tediously cross again and again to chase the same samey feeling side mission objectives. You can fast travel via Batplane once you've unlocked a few points, but when a map makes you want to skip over big parts of it, that's not a good sign. One place Origins does improve over its predecessors is in its boss fights. Most of them are interesting variations on a typical brawl or stealth fight. This duel with Deathstroke is dangerously close to a QuickTime event, but it gives you enough control that I felt like I was in charge, it has enough cool animations that it felt like a real Batman fight should, and it's brief enough that it didn't get old. For visual novelty, the highlight of Arkham Origins is in its new crime scene investigations, which take the zoom and enhance cliché to new heights. Scrubbing through the reconstructed events of a crime in augmented reality is neat, but really we're just along for the ride because there are no decisions to make here. Arkham Origins is the first Batman game to have a multiplayer mode, but it feels like a first draft. Most of the time you're playing a mediocre third-person shooter in which your 3-man team competes for territory control points with a rival gang. The good part is that Batman and Robin are picking off people from both sides using Predator mode moves and an extremely clumsy version of the single-player combat. Granted, it's a fairly clever idea to make us worry about 2 things at once, and 2 heroes working closely together can do hilarious things like using classic Batman uses a miner as a diversion tactics. But given the unremarkable shooting mechanics, the multiplayer mode is kind of a novelty that I wouldn't expect to get more than a few sessions out of. Batman games are like pizza. Even when they're not very good, they're still pretty good. Next to Arkham City, Origins is a bit of a disappointment in its lack of new ideas, making it the least interesting part of the trilogy. But, as excuses to dive back into the excellent free-flowing combat and Predator takedowns go, this story isn't bad. For more on Arkham Origins, keep your Bat computers on IGN.